invocation, invoking all those, whether known or unknown to the world, and invoking all those that are very special to us, that we've had the great privilege of coming to know in either their physical body or their spiritual teachings. And we say, towards the one, the perfection of love, harmony, and beauty, the only being, united with all the illuminated souls who form the embodiment of the Master, the Spirit of Guidance. I've been having some dialogue with someone from the Dervish Healing Order, and if you know, if you've ever had the privilege of meeting Murshid Saab Ardasky, he's got this booming voice and a big presence. And Murshid Samuel Lewis had appointed him the head of the Dervish Healing Order. And he and I are of the same ilk, where we prefer to use the words of Murshid, especially in the prayers, so significant because, as Murshid Hidayat would tell us, well, I've told the story many times, I don't need to tell it, but those prayers were not thought, they were given to an icon, they were transmitted. And so he recorded them. And Hidayat would always, he was also very loyal to retaining the original essence and words of the prayers, in that he always would say, who would think of changing the notes of the great composers, you know? And of course, his father was a composer of music, but also, I think, the great director and composer of our hearts. And so the only thing that I noticed Murshid Hidayat would do when he was in certain company is he would soften the word of Khatum and just whisper it under his breath where it said, Min. He'd just say, unite us all, or however that closing line is. Somebody can say it for me if they remember, but he would just very lightly say it so as to not offend people. And why am I talking about this? I don't know, suppose it has to do with the path of attainment. Oh yes, this is what I wanted to say. So I've been dialoguing with someone from the Dervish Healing Order who's doing another service, and they've been very kind to invite me in. And it happens that it's a woman, very dear, very loyal to the path, to the healing service, but is wrestling a little bit with the words. And so I think those points where we wrestle are so significant, and we're going to talk a little bit about that in the path of attainment. And but I said to her, and I like it, apparently Murshid Mariam Baker of the Ruhaniyat, as well as the late, and I'll call her great because I thought she was, Murshida Sarah Morgan, she would say, sometimes she would say the prayer, who formed the embodiment. She would sometimes say the mystery, the mother, and the message. And, you know, she was, Sarah Morgan, you know, I think she had 18 operations for cancer, and she just never gave up. She was so vital, and she had traveled the world to meet holy beings, and I'm sure that's what kept her alive as long as she did. But she was very fluid, and so, you know, she didn't discard one for another, but she was very inclusive, and so I had shared that with this woman. So we have to find what resonates with us at any particular time. Let me just say that. And I do think it relates to this subject, the path of attainment, love and light. In Murshid's words, he says, many think that spiritual attainment can only be achieved by great labor. He says it is not so. Labor is necessary for material attainment, but for spiritual attainment, what one needs is a seeking soul. A seeking soul. So I want to begin, I don't usually do this, but I would like to begin with a wazifa, and I'd like to explain that to you, and then we're going to use this as a launching pad, so to speak, to get to a practice, which will be a breath practice. It's not a breath practice given by Anayat Khan, but I think it relates to his breath practices, so here we go. So the practice is Raqib. It's spelled well, it transliterates R-A-Q-I-B, but the Qib is the emphasis. Ya Raqib. Well, what does it mean? It says that the repetition of Rakib is helpful in attaining any proper focus and concentration. And you know, that's the great challenge. We have so many distractions, bings and bongs and this and that are all constantly going off, the demands of life. It sometimes takes us away from that ability to focus. We can be easily distracted. That's not a criticism, it's an observation, and one who probably has a little bit of ADD. It's really easy for me too, so I have to watch that with myself. So it says, from al-Rakib comes muraqabah, and some of you maybe have heard this in Sufi retreat. It's an advanced Sufi practice and a technique for concentration that begins with Hash Dardam. And Hash Dardam is the rising and the falling of the breath, and just observing what happens. No clinging, no attachment. Well, of course, this is so much, anyone that's done any kind of Buddhist meditation or retreat, you know that this is kind of the beginning and the end of it, is watching the rising and the falling of the breath. The one-pointed attainment, the one-pointed attained by patience, loving attention, and the present moment results in a liberating unity of consciousness. So this one-pointedness brings us to, Pure Light would describe it when we would do the alternate nostril breathing. So again, you know that. Breathe in, hold, breathe out, breathe in, hold. So that hold he always thought was important. We know that in Buddhist practice too. Those points between the breath. Pure Light would call that the eternal moment, resting in the eternal moment. And so that's what this is talking about. The one-pointedness attained by patient, loving attention to the present moment results in a liberating unity of consciousness. And Pure Light always used to teach us a way of looking at the alternate nostril breathing. He would say, as you breathe in the left, think of all those things that have happened in your life, and you can use this as a healing practice, and hold in the eternal moment. And as you breathe out to the right, he said, cast all of that into the future. And then when you breathe in from the right, you consider the future is informing the present moment. And as you breathe out to the left, it offers a healing possibility with the knowledge of the future. So, if you ever sat with Pure Light, you realized you'd have to really work at getting, sort of staying in whatever plane he was communicating from. And he traveled in a very facile way between them all. So you might think about that as a practice. It's very healing, and it helps bring knowledge into the present moment, and can help heal the past or give wisdom and insight to what happened in the past. This liberating unity of consciousness. It's almost like consciousness can be very fractured. And if we can call it together, it's like putting the pieces of the puzzle together to get a better picture. A little bit more. First drink. Muraqabah is pure, passive, loving observation, so no judgment, without any clinging. Such loving attention allows us to be interested in whatever is arising. You're interested, but you're non-reactive. And it's a wonderful process, whether you arrive there through therapy or through retreats or muraqabah. You see that you can have a disinterested curiosity, and that disinterested curiosity opens up a kind of wisdom door where we can see things differently and really learn from them. So that's what we're talking about. Al-Rakib brings expanded awareness of the inner world, taking one beyond the physical into the metaphysical, or we could call it transcendental, or we could call it into mystical awareness, that which is transpiring behind that which appears. So let's just do Rakib 33 times together, first with Ya Rakib for 11, and then 11, just whispering Rakib, sort of coming into that unity of consciousness, and then just silently concentrating on this one-pointed concentration, unification of our consciousness. Ya Rakib, Ya Rakib. And we can roll the R a bit too. Ya Rakib, 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 Ya Rakib. And now with the whisper, breathing in and breathing out. Rakib, 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 Rakib. Now just silently feeling the essence of Rakib. And now I'd like to, with this quietude and concentration, work with a meditative practice on the breath. It can be likened to the first practice that the Buddha actually gave his disciples. We're not going to go through the whole thing, but you'll hear some similarities. It was called the Nirmanakaya. No, that's not true. I've forgotten the name. Sorry. But first I want us to just breathe in and out. And remember, just notice the rising and the falling of the breath. But in this, I want you to feel your body, become aware of your body. And as you're breathing in and out, I'm going to say a few more words. And since it's Nur Latifa's birthday today, and she's written me sometimes about wanting to know more about Tibetan Buddhist practice, I thought I would mention a few words about this. So in the Buddhist tradition, we call the body, that's the manifestation of the Nirmanakaya, meaning the body of transformation. We are given these bodies through which to experience life, through which to practice, through which to uplift ourselves and others. And the Buddha, of course, manifests to us in the Nirmanakaya. It was the manifest form of Shakyamuni Buddha. This is not unrelated or dissynchronistic with any other tradition. For example, in Christianity, we come to the understanding of this through the manifestation of the divinity of God in Jesus Christ, who came down to live amongst people. And this is the embodiment. We could say Jesus Christ is the embodiment of mercy and compassion, which are those first attributes mentioned in the Holy Quran. So let's take a few breaths. Again, feeling the sensations in the body. Notice where there maybe is any, tension, and breathe into that. Think of it fluid and let it flow over you, this mercy and compassion. And you can either sort of whisper these words to your body, or you can just breathe them in silently. I'll just whisper them. Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, we want to go deeper, deeper, penetrating through the body into the feeling heart. We've spoken about this. Kelsey? Kels, come on. Kelsey, come. It's okay. Place. Come on. Sorry. There was some noise in the hall, and he's become very protective of the environment. He's putting himself to bed. All right. So the feeling heart is, of course, where the physical heart resides, but even deeper, feeling that whole, solar plexus area, the feeling heart. Now in Buddhism, this relates to the Sambhogakaya, or the body of bliss, because of course, we can't describe bliss in any other way. It's a feeling. We have a word for it, but it's this feeling of elevation and, in a sense, unity as well. The Sambhogakaya is the embodiment of wisdom and compassion. Wisdom and compassion. It is a state that is arrived at through meditative, one-pointed concentration. Yarakib. The parallel in Christianity is the understanding that the relationship of God and Christ, particularly in the context of the incarnation of Jesus Christ, these are the divine qualities that manifest through Jesus Christ, his wisdom and his compassion. Of course, in Islam, we call them Ya Alim, Ya Rahim. So breathe into this area, try to go penetrate deeper into a space that's not physical, but that feeling space. And you can recite either silently or in a whisper into that chamber of the feeling heart. Ya Ali, Ya Rahim, Ya Ali, Ya Rahim, Ya Ali, Ya Rahim, Ya Ali, Ya Rahim, Ya Ali, Ya Rahim. Now, we're trying to get even deeper, so beyond the feeling heart, there's this inner sanctuary, the light of one's soul. So now we're trying to go deeper with the breath, the rising and the falling of the breath. And there is a connection here. There's this seed, the connection and the seed of the divine source within each one of us. Just as Majida and I were talking, and she said, it's been kind of cool up here, but I finally got the garden in. Well, it's not enough just to have that seed in the ground or some little plants. We need sunlight, and we need water, and we need to weed them. In the same way, this seed of divinity in the soul is there. The source within each one of us is unique, and it is constantly manifesting our own unique divine purpose. And so the path of awakening is towards the realization of this divine purpose. Not just the realization, but the actualization. So in Buddhism, we call the divine purpose, it's referred to as the Dharmakaya. And the Dharmakaya is the body of truth. It's our Dharma, it's our duty. The Dharmakaya represents the Buddha's ultimate unchanging nature. When it's represented in physical form, we see this Buddha completely naked, stripped naked. In Christianity, God is understood as uncreated, eternal, and unchanging. We would call it in Sufism all-pervading. And both traditions emphasize the fundamental reality beyond the realm of manifestation, although manifestation has its purpose in helping us realize that. More about that later. But here we want to invoke, as we would from the Holy Quran, the divine name, Ya Qayyum. Qayyum is both omniscient and omnipresent, everywhere, all-knowing, and also ever-present in everything. It always was, it always is, and it always will be. In Buddhism, we call this from beginningless time to endless time. So let's use this wazifa, Ya Qayyum, as we try to go deeper into that, where that seed is, the divine purpose. And with Qayyum, bring that omniscience and that omnipresent into that place to actualize it, to realize it, to nurture it. I'm so sorry, I think that someone just asked me, I'm not always reading the chats, but I think they wanted me to spell Qayyum. It's transliterated Qayyum, Qayyum, Qayyum. Okay, so now we're going in deeper. We've gone through the body, the heart, and this beautiful sanctuary of light within, which resides, we could even call it the beautiful cup, the chalice that's filled with our purpose. Ya Qayyum, Ya Qayyum, Ya Qayyum, Ya Qayyum, Ya Qayyum. Now getting back to the words of Hazrat Inayat Khan, Murshid says, the word journey may be applied to life. As life has two aspects, it may either be called a journey or a goal. Why should life be called a journey? Because there's a change in nature and a change of experience. So it's a journey, a passage. One goes from one experience to another, and that is what is the meaning of the word journey. Going from one place to another, passing from one experience to another. The whole of the external life is nothing but a succession of experiences, one after another, from day to night and night to day. That is why it's called a journey. Yet there is a part of life from which this life of change has sprung. The life which is everlasting, Qayyum, which is eternal, Qayyum. The life to which all things return, and that life is the goal. So, when you think about it, I mean, how profound is it that we're these little seed pods that are given these bodies through which to journey life. And yet also the goal is to understand or connect with our origins, where we will return. And in some ways that's the goal, to be able to bring that to this earth, to our life's experiences, to those around us, to the world. Again, remembering what Mother Teresa said, we may not do great things, but we can do small things with great love. That can be our touchstone. And Murshid says, in this way, we see there are really two journeys. There's the journey from the goal to life in the world, and there's a journey from the life in the world to the goal. And I just previously said that in my own words. Thank you, Murshid, for being succinct. And both journeys are natural, Murshid says. As it is natural to go forth from the eternal goal, so it is necessary to go from changing life to that life which is unchangeable. That eternal moment, as Pirvalai called it. Which is the most desirable thing in life? Murshid's asking us this. To seek the goal or to dwell in this changing life? To seek the goal or to dwell in this changing life? The answer is that every person's desire is according to one's evolution. Every stage in life has its own appropriate and desirable things. The desire to attain a goal must be there. It must be there, this desire to attain the goal, before reaching it. When one does not feel the desire, it's not necessary for one to seek it. Everyone's different, and it comes at different times. Excuse me. All things are worthwhile when we seek after them. This is such a very deep teaching. There's one level of the words, there's one level of the meaning, there's one level of the mystical meaning. So I'm going to try to emphasize that, but I might advise you to go back and read this again and again through the next month, those that are in our particular circle that follow the practices. And maybe from time to time work with the breath practice we've done, as well as the wazifas. Lay down, puppy. Good boy. Yes, you are. So here we go. Murshid teaches us, all things are worthwhile when we seek them and when we seek after them. Then only do we appreciate their value. Then only are we happy to have them. We do not need the things we do not know and do not desire. We need them when we know them and desire them. The law of nature is that this external life develops gradually, stage by stage. And he goes through these teachings, through rocks. So this is the stages of manifestation. Through rocks, through vegetables, through animals, through man. Its depth is intelligence, which is named ilm, I''IALM, by the mystic. Now, Murshida Veera, she liked to do retreats in nature, and she would point out things to us. And Pirvalai would do that too. He'd have us go out in nature and look into the face of the flower and try to experience its soul. But there's the face of the flower, but there's the soul also. And Murshida Veera would sometimes tell us, how sometimes it happens here on the beach. There's a piece of coral, but it looks like something else. It may even look like a person, or sometimes I found them, they look like mother and child. And she would maintain that coral is trying to evolve, maybe even skipping the step, and just become known as a human. She would say that about trees. You know how sometimes the trees might have a face or it looks like a human body? She believes they're trying to evolve to that place, not passing through the animal kingdom, maybe evolving just to the human kingdom. And so she had this way of describing that. She was very attuned with nature and understood the elemental world very well. She tried to emphasize that. So apostrophe, it's actually two L's. I'm sorry, I said ILM. It's apostrophe LLM. And we know of Arabic that it is a consonant-based language. So there's only an accent that gives it a vowel sound. In this instance, ilm becomes alim. Alim. And I want to read what Ibn Arabi says because it's so perfect. Ibn Arabi said that ilm, or alim, is real knowledge that is more than simply a journey from outward to inward knowing. It's not just going from this outside to this inside. He says the inward and the outward should be experienced as seamlessly interpenetrating each other, and affirms a nexus. It means a meeting point. I would call it an embrace or a kiss. Or Jalaluddin Rumi would say, people are crossing the door seal where the two worlds meet. That's the nexus. That's where we want to be able to be and understand. So it's this, not simply a journey from the outward to the inward. The inward and the outward should be experienced as seamlessly interpenetrating. And they interpenetrate each other, and they affirm a nexus, this meeting point, this eternal moment. And this is between inward and outward knowledge, this nexus. From this nexus, all things are known, and unknown ultimately represent a deeper truth. So everything coming, both known and unknown, meet at this point, and we come to this deeper truth. And this is called awakening in life. So life can be very interesting in this way. We don't need to go away from life. We don't need to renounce life. It's awakening in life. Life helps. It's an agent, just like Murshid was emphasizing, these different levels from rocks to vegetation to animals to human. These are all things that are revealing themselves. Remember, Hazrat Inayat Khan in this 10 Sufi thoughts said there's one holy book, the manuscript of nature. It's there for us to read. So let's work with this wasifa 33 times, 11 aloud with the Ya Alim, whispering Alim, and then silently Alim. This nexus, this kiss, this embrace, the door seal where the two worlds meet. Ya Alim, 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 Ya Alim. Silently. Ya Ali. And then I want to read again the previous paragraph for us, because again, it relates to this nexus, these meeting points. All things are worthwhile when we seek after them. Then only do we appreciate their value. Then only are we happy to have them. We do not need the things that we do not know and do not desire. We need them when we know them and desire them. The law of nature is that this external life develops gradually, stage by stage, through rocks, through vegetables, through animals, through man, or we could call it humans. Its depth is intelligence, which means ilm by the mystic. Then Murshid goes on to say this: the more thoughtful, the more awakened the mind, the more can be found within the fullness of that attribute for which the whole world was created. That at the fullness of that attribute for which the whole world was created. This passing across the door seal where the two worlds meet. We begin to think, and the question arises, why all this was created? Why was it? What's its purpose? The answer is that all this gradual development is one towards one single development, that of human life, and in human life towards the development of the mind. The mind, but it's not like little mind, little flea mind that jumps all over it with thoughts. The mind, this divine awareness, this alim. It is far better to renounce a thing that which can only be procured through the sacrifice of right and justice than to go in pursuit of things which will bring in the end disappointment and disaster. Okay, here we go. Very important. Listen up. Your object of attainment should be decided and settled in your mind, and then there should be no change. Now, I will say this. I think that it is possible that you have this attainment in your mind and it evolves as your understanding, your awareness, and you mature, you become more self-aware, let's say. The mind does develop. So any of us that have tried to accomplish anything, whether it's through education or sports or music or art, we know that there's always this idea of this attainment, and there are many steps that we have to go through. And then even when we master something, we keep evolving with it. So don't feel like, oh my God, today I've got to figure this out and that's it. No, and you don't have to figure anything out. The truth is, it's all figuring us out. It's figuring us out. We just need to be open and listen at the nexus where the two worlds meet, where the in and the out breath meet, where this eternal moment can be experienced, if even for a moment. So, Murshid goes on to say, any difficulty in obtaining it, meaning your object of attainment, must not frighten you. Be patient, have faith, and trust. You must pursue your object in this way. Do not for one moment think how small you are before your object of attainment, or how incapable you are of achieving it, or how long it must take to reach it, or where or how the means can be provided to get it. Before you think of all these things, think of one thing. And those in our circle and those that are here, you might want to repeat this every day. The object is there. It belongs to me. It is my birthright. It is my natural right. It is my divine right that it should be mine. How could it be otherwise? It's there. It's given to us at our birth to bring to the earth to manifest. It's there already. We don't really have to figure it out. We have to be open to it. And then Murshid goes on to say, oh my God, every spiritual teacher I've ever had has given me this one, because they've always given me things to accomplish that I thought I could never accomplish. And I thought, I have to keep my mouth shut. I have to say, I cannot say to them, I don't know how to do it. I can't figure this out. This is beyond me. Never have I said that. I've always said to myself, keep your mouth shut and trust that your teacher knows your capability and is pushing you. Try to remember that, please. And if your teacher's asked something of you think is beyond your capability, do it anyway. See what happens. So he says this. When your object is, so it seems, in a mist, do not cover yourself with clouds because your object seems far off. If you do, everything will become dark before you. It's like you can have darkness, you can have static, you can have lack of understanding, you can have frustration. But he says everything will become dark before you. But if you keep your light clear, then the ray shooting from your own soul will in time clear the mist. This is just like the sun. It's foggy in the morning and the sun comes out. This light coming from your soul, like the sun, will clear that mist. But if you yourself are in confusion whether to have this object or no object, there's no hope for you, he says. Well, thank you, Mershon. A little scary. For you must ever bear in mind that the light, these are his words from this teaching, that the light and the life that goes out from you to the object is as important as the light which comes to you from the object. Mersha Tadayat would talk about this all the time in a different way maybe, but he always said, you must keep your object before you and you keep your focus there. You keep that object of attainment there, and that object of attainment is drawing you closer to it, just as you are drawing the object of attainment closer to you. So think of it, it's an exchange. Now, I want to just do a parenthetical pause here and remind you, because some people are so resistant and think, no, that's not the practice at all. Remember that Hazrat Anait Khan gave different breath practices. They follow the same cycle. One's called the purification breaths. One's called the elemental breath. In the purification breath, we are given this phrase. Now think about it. This is a mystical revelation, perhaps. And not just mine, but it's something that's embedded in the practice. While we're doing the practice that corresponds to the earth, we are thinking, I inhale divine light and life, and I radiate divine life and light. Think about that. How useful it is in obtaining the object. In this path of attainment, we are projecting out that life and light, and we're drawing it back into us. And it's this exchange. It's part of this teaching. So I'm not saying don't ever do your practices the other way with the concentration on the elements and the colors and the different points on the head. But this practice is very important. And this one was actually primary, given by Anait Khan himself. So remember this. And he says, Murshid says, so that was my parenthetical little statement, not so little, but he says, therein lies the great mystery of the Trinity. And this Trinity is in all things. The knower, the thing to be known, and the power and the knowledge which connects them, the nexus, the ilm, that point, the doorsill where the doorsill meets. The object is, okay, wait, no. Yes. Therein lies the great mystery of the Trinity. The knower, the thing to be known, and the light and the power that connects them. So now who is the knower in this instance? Is it us? Is it God? Is it one and the same? Think about it. Very deep teaching. And I read again this quote before we do a practice. The object is there. It belongs to me. It is my birthright. It is my natural right. It is my divine right that it should be mine. And I don't think that it's when I was a kid, I always wanted a sports Jaguar. I don't think that's what he means. And, I've been lusting after this great Cartier Pasha. I don't think that's what he means either. Because those are just objects. They come, they go, they break, we die, whatever. But what happens through that process is a good thing to look at. And those are not material things. These are eternal things. These are qualities that are listed time and time again in all the holy books. This is what is our divine right. This is what is our birthright. And we each have different notes. We each have different notes in this great symphony of life. So mine doesn't, maybe not as yours isn't mine, but we can support each other in realizing that birthright. And again, the greatest saints had the greatest simplicity. Think about that. So simple, so pure. This doesn't mean we're we can't all be the Pope, but even in his Popeness, my God, look at him. He has that cute little impish smile. He's strong, but he's also very natural, very unassuming, and just sweet, so he doesn't have a lot of pomp and circumstance around him. He's just natural. And maybe that's what it is. Just let me be the natural who I'm supposed to be in this world. Beautiful. So let's turn to this practice. I know we've been using it a lot over the last year, but this kind of brings it home yet again. And that practice is Yanur, Yanur, Yanur. And it means whatever way we turn, we see this all-pervading light. All in nature, in our environments, in the animals, in everything, this all-pervading life is manifested. And even in the darkness, this light shines from within, even in the darkness. I'm encouraged that some of the beings that so inspire me, in their despair, found this light. In the most tragic and difficult circumstances, found this light. So when you feel that, look for the light within it. It's there. We just have to look around and notice it. All variations of wisdom and guidance are expressions of Anur. Anur illuminates the heart and is the light of wisdom and guidance. And we've also worked with this Nur Alim, so you can do that here. You see there's a connection. They support each other as we support each other. So the divine attribute, it lights up from within, it clarifies, it manifests, it reveals. Nur does this. It illuminates in a way that makes anything that's obscure clear. So again, clearing away the mist before our eyes. So I wonder, when we're in our daily lives, do we think of using these medicines to help us? Or do we just get caught here? Use them, they're there, invoke them, they're alive, they're living, they help us, they're there to support us on our path. They're our birthright, they're our natural right, they're our divine right. If it wasn't so, these beautiful names wouldn't have been revealed. If the way seems, okay, let's do this. Let's pause, put the pause button, and then we're right there at the very end of our teaching. One more statement after that. We're going to tune within. We're going to enliven the Nirmanakaya, the Sambhokaya, and the Dharmakaya. The physical body, the bliss body, the truth body with Yanur. We're going to clear away the mist of confusion, illuminate any darkness. And we're going to remember the beauty and gift of these names to be called upon, to be activated, to be realized. So 11 times Ya Nur, 11 times we'll whisper, and 11 times silently. Of course, in your daily practice, you can do them 101. Ya Nur, 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 Ya Nur. What came to me, and I'll share it with you, you might want to do this in your daily practice. I was thinking, as we're using the breath, you know, it's that in and out breath, and it sort of came to me like sweeping that door seal between where the two worlds meet with the breath of these wasifas, that nexus, that meeting point. So let's just go into the silence and feeling that nur on the breath. Murshid closes by saying, if the way seems closed, it will be opened. If the means are lacking, they will be given. They will be attained. If the object is far off and beyond your reach, it will be drawn to you. If only you can hold fast to the rein, the rope of hope, with complete faith and trust in God, the giver of all things, the possessor of all things. And we close with the thought that if there's been any merit here, we ask that this merit touch all those realms of existence and beyond. That it touches all those in need of being uplifted, comforted, fed in some way. That any inequalities be balanced. That people feel cared for and seen, heard and loved. And a public service announcement, if you're on our mailing list, and I think you all are, great, invite other people to join. Of course, we always need a little money, and I think every single person here has offered support financially to keep the teachings going, to help the website. Everything has increased in price, by the way. Maybe it was in anticipation of, the political challenges that are before us, but all of our prices have gone up for web hosting and Zoom and everything. So we're just trying to keep the boat afloat, and every little bit helps. And I know those of you that are here, like I said, you've offered your support, but it's for the benefit of the recording too, to invite others to do so. And we close with the prayer that Hazrat Pir Murshid and Icon gave us as the prayer that he says of this prayer, that each line we seek to make a metaphysical, from metaphysical reality to a reality. So each line's so precious in this prayer. O thou who art the perfection of love, harmony, and beauty, the Lord of heaven and earth, open our hearts that we may hear thy voice, which constantly cometh from within. Disclose to us thy divine light, which is hidden in our souls, that we may know and understand life better. Most merciful and compassionate God, give us thy great goodness. Teach us thy loving forgiveness. Raise us above the distinctions and differences that divide, and Murshid Dayat would whisper, men, and unite us all in thy perfect being. Amen.